Good morning, guys. Today I'm going to talk to you about my research proposal, which is looking at how a STEM program is getting implemented into a school. A little bit about my background and what drove me to pick this research question is, even though I'm an English teacher, that's my trade, I have worked with advanced ed for 15 years. At two different schools, I've served as an advanced ed reaccreditation coordinator, essentially making sure that as the school certification process was coming up, all the T's were crossed and I's were dotted. And a couple of years ago, I was really blessed with the opportunity to get really my foot in the door and went through the process of becoming a STEM evaluator for schools that were going through the STEM accreditation process. I was at a school that was the 7th school in Tennessee to receive, in Tennessee to receive its STEM accreditation. It was one of the first 100 schools in the world to receive the Advanced Ed STEM accreditation. And I have conferenced with and consulted with another school to help them with their journey, and I have been a part of several accreditation teams that have issued the STEM. So I do know the in and outs of advanced ed and the STEM expectations for that. And so when I moved to my new school last year, they asked me to help them start the process of a STEM accreditation, and that's what we're doing. And it looks like this next school year we're actually going to either A, complete the process by the end of the school year, or at least be halfway through the 2018-2019 school year so we can get the certification the following year. So that gives you a little background as to why I'm interested in this process and how I picked the topic. So this has led me to my purpose. I was curious to see how teachers, specifically high school teachers who traditionally may work collaboratively within their department, respond when they're asked to work cross-curricularly with other teachers. It's a challenge for high school teachers. In elementary and in middle school, honestly, you have the ability to work in teams in grade levels and create curriculum that does cross-curriculum activities and projects. But when you get to high school, the challenge is, if the high school is a traditionally designed high school, you have kids going in 17 million different directions, and it's really hard to get them all in a common denominator class. What tends to happen is their English classes are the common denominator because you have to have English every year. But even then, you may have kids who are in an AP language or an AP lit class, and that teacher does not teach other juniors or seniors. So I suspect that this is going to be a very challenging task, because suddenly teachers who are asked to work with a teacher in another department are going to have to figure out how to make that fit. So my research question: do teachers' attitudes about interdisciplinary project shift during a STEM program implementation? As a high school teacher, it is hard, and it doesn't really matter what grade you teach. We all have specific standards that we have to teach. But when you add another component to it, and you're asking teachers who traditionally do not work with other disciplines suddenly find time somewhere once a semester, once in 9 weeks, to create some sort of interdisciplinary project, it's going to be challenging, especially trying to figure out the jigsaw puzzle of fitting those pieces into the curriculum. The second part of my question that I'm interested in seeing is, as we begin this process of creating those interdisciplinary projects, as teachers are working collaboratively, how does that impact their own instructional practices? Are they seeing new techniques, new ideas, new strategies from their peers in other departments, and do they implement those, or at least ponder those strategies and think about how maybe they can modify those to their own curriculum in their own classroom? So as I was wrestling with what kind of theoretical framework I wanted to use, I kept coming back to this idea of constructivist theory. And I realized that my own learning is best when I get my hands dirty, when it is an active construction of knowledge versus just simply the rote memorization. And that was really highlighted for me as I struggled in this class a lot because I was very uncomfortable. It wasn't something that I could fly through by the seat of my pants on, and I was forced to struggle, and I was forced to reach out and ask for help, not just with my professor, but with my peers. And I think that is at the heart of what drives STEAM, and that's what I have on my PowerPoint. I think with all things new, when we are faced with challenges, there's a learning curve. And if we're going to ask our students to embrace this idea of a STEM program where they have to engage in inquiry, they have to engage in reasoning, they have to apply that content, and they have to learn to play nice with others and communicate well, we need to ask our teachers to do the same thing. If our teachers cannot model what we're asking our students to do, then we are not being successful educators. So that is why I chose the constructivist theory. So then I shifted to the conceptual framework, and I had to return to advanced ed because advanced ed, when they were developing their STEM program, and they created essentially a main STEM standard with 11 indicators. And the standard, in essence, is that students are going to have the skill sets, the knowledge, the strategy, the thinking strategies that will prepare them to be both innovative and creative and systematic problem solvers if they choose to go into a STEM field. Even if they don't go into a STEM field, those skill sets will serve them well in the 21st century. The indicators are broken down into 3 subsets, and it focuses on the learners, it focuses on the educators, and then it focuses on the overall experiences. So that is my STEM conceptual framework. I'm also going to be looking at PLCs because, as I've said before, suddenly teachers who have not necessarily ever had to work collaboratively across the curriculum are going to be asked to do that. While PLCs are in place at my school, there are no interdisciplinary PLCs at play. So that is where I am going with that. As far as my research type, I've settled on a case study. I appreciated the feedback that I got back when I posted my qualitative paper. Some said, woo, that's going to be a little bit challenging, and it may be, and I may shift gears once I get my hands dirty into it. We'll have to wait and see. But I do like the idea of a case study. First of all, I'm in one school, and so that's why I feel like it lends itself well to that. The definition that I found from Sturman I thought was very applicable. This idea that a case study is just this exploration of a group, and that was what I focused in on, that definition. And I also like what Messick suggested, is that it's a study that analyzes the discovery process. And if you think about what my research question is, the shift of attitudes and the implementation, if there are any of instructional strategies, how does that work, and what learning occurs with the teachers as they go through this, I think is going to fit well. I've listed my key terms at the bottom. I think it's important to have this conversation about what STEM is. And while there are some people who throw the A in for STEAM, for the contents of this study, it is going to be just STEM. And interdisciplinary projects and interdisciplinary collaboration. So, forms of data and analysis. I'm certainly going to have to use interviews. I believe my master evil plan with this is, and I just realized that I did my PowerPoint a little backwards. I'm going to start with the surveys. The first survey I would like to do is just have teachers respond to a Likert scaled questions where they are responding to, this is what I think about STEM. This is what I think about developing interdisciplinary projects. This is what I think about working collaboratively with people outside of my department. Once those preliminary surveys are in place, I'm going to go to the interviews once we've started the program and talk to the teachers who have not been a part of the core STEM program that we've started last year. Last year we had 5 teachers who messed around with it, and I want to see what the newbies are saying, and I want to do the survey as a check to the interviews. And then I'm going to go into the classrooms or have an unbiased observer from advanced ed come in and do the observations using the Elliott observation tool. What's great about the Elliott observation tool is it looks at the classroom dynamics. It looks at how the learner is engaged, what kind of learning is happening, and the classroom environment. It really encompasses a lot. And the great thing about the Elliott is there's a lot of Elliott's that's been done over the years. And so to litmus check at a national level what's happening on the classroom will be great to see what happens. But not only that, because I work with advanced ed, I will be able to see the Elliott scores from the previous certification and be able to check and see if there's been any growth in areas on that device. Then I'm going to return to the surveys after we've implemented the program, asking the same questions and seeing if there's any shift. I did not put this on there, but I'm certainly debating adding focus groups. And with the focus group, I would go back to those 5 teachers who were a part of the preliminary STEM creation program last year and see what their perceptions are, you know, the quote-unquote experienced teachers in the STEM versus the teachers who are just being asked to do new stuff. Because I am limited in who I'm looking at, I'm only going to be using the 20, give or take, depending on the course load, teachers who are going to be a part of the program. There is a difference between a STEM program and a STEM school certification. A STEM program simply means a program within the school is getting the STEM certification. A STEM school means every grade that is in that building is adhering to those advanced ed indicators that I mentioned previously. So because we're only doing a program at Central Magnet, it will only be those teachers who are directly associated with any student who is in any part of the STEM program, and that's about 20 teachers. My limitations and delimitations. I feel like the interviews are definitely going to be a limitation because it's hard to tell whether the participating teachers are going to express their true opinions. I hope they feel safe enough that they will be able to say, this sucks or this doesn't suck. I'm not sure, but I hope that they will be honest. That's one of the reasons I want to use the surveys as kind of a trustworthiness technique to fact check to see if those attitudes that are conveyed on the surveys parallel with what's being expressed in the interviews. Certainly the population is a delimitation because I'm only sampling one school, and not only am I sampling just one school, I'm only sampling one segment of the school population. Strengths, I do believe that the triangulation of data, y'all, so sorry, that is my washing machine. Since multiple established pieces of data are being used, I think that's going to aid in both the confirmability and credibility of the research. In timeliness, I'm taking this data as it's occurring and not after the program has been implemented. I think that's a strength because participants are not simply relying on their memory. Whew, that is the end of my presentation. I was a little nervous with that, and so I may got a little bit rambly, but I appreciate you guys, and hope y'all have a blessed day.